I was working the front desk at a boutique hotel in Prague when an American businessman checked in at 11 p.m. He handed me his passport and credit card, then immediately asked where the ice machine was. I explained we don't have ice machines in Czech hotels, but I could bring ice to his room. He looked at me like I'd just told him we don't have running water. What do you mean you don't have ice machines? How do hotels operate without ice machines? He wasn't joking. He was genuinely baffled. I explained that in Europe, most hotels provide ice on request rather than having machines on every floor. He shook his head and pulled out his phone. I'm looking at the Marriott standards right now. All hotels are required to have ice machines. It's international law. I told him our hotel wasn't a Marriott, and there's no international law about ice machines. He insisted that the Geneva Convention covered basic hotel amenities. When I asked him which part of the Geneva Convention mentioned ice machines, he said he'd have to look it up, but he was pretty sure it was in there. Most people laugh at stories like this. I cataloged them, not because they're funny, because they're patterns. If that distinction makes sense to you, this is your corner of the internet. Subscribe and start seeing the logic inside the absurd. He demanded to speak to the owner. At midnight, about ice machines, I brought him a bucket of ice. He left a 1-star review saying we were technically not a real hotel. Last month, a woman asked me if Czechs speak Czechoslovakian. I said no. Czechoslovakia hasn't existed since 1993. She said her grandfather fought there in World War II, so she was sure it was still a country. She showed me a photo of her grandfather. The photo was from 1945, and that was just Tuesday. I drive for Uber in Berlin, and last week I picked up an American tourist near Alexanderplatz. Nice enough guy, mid-30s, had one of those I read the travel guide attitudes. Within 2 minutes, he asked me about visiting West Berlin. I told him, there's no more West Berlin. The wall came down in 1989. He laughed and said, yeah, but the cool part, the American sector, where all the history is. I explained that Berlin is unified now. There's no American sector. He pulled up a blog post from 2015 about authentic West Berlin neighborhoods and insisted I was wrong. Look, it says right here that Kreuzberg is in West Berlin. Are you saying this travel blogger is lying? I told him Kreuzberg was historically in West Berlin, but it's just Berlin now. He asked if I needed to show papers to drive to East Berlin. I said no, because it's all one city. He got quiet for a minute, then said, is this like a sensitive topic? Because my uncle was in the Air Force and he told me all about the sectors, he asked me to take him to Checkpoint Charlie. When we arrived and he saw it was a tourist replica, he was devastated. Where's the real one? I explained this was the location of the real checkpoint, but the original structure was removed decades ago. He asked where they moved it. I said nowhere. It was dismantled. He stood there for a solid minute, then asked if the government was covering something up. He tipped me in dollars, said euros, didn't feel real. I work at a pharmacy in Amsterdam, and an American woman came in asking for Holland medication. I asked what she needed. She said she wanted authentic Holland medicine, not the fake European stuff. I explained Holland is in Europe. She said no, Holland is its own country and Europe is different. I told her Holland is a region in the Netherlands, which is in Europe. She said her travel agent told her Holland and the Netherlands were two separate places. I showed her a map. She studied it carefully, then asked why the map was wrong. Everyone knows Holland has windmills, and the Netherlands has Amsterdam. They can't be the same place. I explained that Amsterdam is in North Holland, which is a province of the Netherlands. She asked if I was sure. I've lived here my entire life. She asked if I'd ever traveled outside of my province because maybe that's why I was confused. She left to find a more knowledgeable pharmacy. 3 weeks ago, I was giving a tour in Sydney when an American couple asked what time zone Australia was in. I said Australian Eastern Standard Time. The husband said, no, I mean compared to the real time zones, like Eastern or Pacific. I explained those are American time zones. Australia has its own zones. He insisted there had to be a conversion to normal time. His wife asked if we used military time like Europe does. I said we use 24-hour time for schedules. Yes. She asked how we know what time it really is. I said we look at clocks. She wanted to know how Australian clocks knew what time it was without being connected to American time. Her husband suggested maybe we use satellites. I work at a petrol station outside Barcelona, and an American with a rental car pulled up last month. He started filling up, then immediately stopped and came inside. Your pump is broken. It's showing impossible numbers. I went outside with him. The pump showed 47 liters. He pointed at it triumphantly. See? 47. Cars don't hold 47 gallons. I explained we use liters, not gallons. He asked why we were using the wrong measurement. I said most of the world uses liters. He said that didn't make it right. America invented cars, so we invented the right way to measure fuel. This is like if I went to France and they told me to measure distance in baguettes. He pulled up a conversion calculator and showed me that 47 liters was only about 12 gallons. See? Your machine is ripping people off. I should be getting 47 gallons for this price. What you're seeing isn't ignorance. It's cultural software colliding with reality. I break down that psychology full-time so you don't have to. Most people stop at the story. Subscribers get the structure. I explained the price per liter was clearly marked. He said the price was suspiciously cheap, and something seemed illegal about it. He asked if he could pay in gallons instead. I said no, that's not how fuel works. He asked to speak to the station owner about implementing international standard measurements. I was the owner. He asked if Spain had considered switching to gallons to make things easier for tourists. I told him to have a nice day. He sat in his car for 10 minutes doing calculations on his phone, then came back and asked if Spanish gallons were different from American gallons. I told him we don't have Spanish gallons. We have liters. He drove away, muttering about the metric system being a scam. I'm a doctor in a clinic in Copenhagen, and an American patient came in with a fever. I took her temperature, and it was 38.5 degrees Celsius. She saw the thermometer and panicked. 38 degrees? I'm hypothermic. I need to go to the emergency room. I explained we use Celsius, not Fahrenheit. 38.5 Celsius is about 101 Fahrenheit, which is a moderate fever. She didn't believe me. That's impossible. 38 degrees is freezing. I would be dead. I showed her the conversion formula. She said math couldn't change physical reality. She asked why we were using fake temperature measurements in a medical setting. I explained Celsius is the standard in Europe and most of the world. She said Fahrenheit was more accurate because it had more numbers. How can you be precise with only 38 degrees? That's not enough degrees to measure a person. I tried to explain that Celsius degrees are larger units than Fahrenheit degrees, so you don't need as many. She asked if that meant Danish people felt temperature differently than Americans. When I said no, she asked why we use different measurements if we feel the same things. I told her it's just a different scale. She requested her temperature in real degrees. I said 101 Fahrenheit. She said that sounded right and asked why I didn't just say that in the first place. She left a comment card saying our clinic should train staff in internationally recognized measurements. I was working at a grocery store in Auckland when an American asked where the meat was sold by the pound. I pointed to the meat section and explained we use kilograms. He asked if we could weigh it in pounds instead. I said our scales only show kilograms. He asked if I could do the math. He handed me a package of chicken marked 1.2 kilograms and asked how many pounds that was. I estimated about 2.6 pounds. He said that seemed like too much chicken. I said it's the same amount of chicken, just different units. He asked if metric chicken was bigger than American chicken. I explained that metric and imperial are just measurement systems. The chicken is the same size. He said if that was true, why did the number change? 1.2 versus 2.6. That's more than double. I tried to explain that kilograms are larger units than pounds, so you need fewer of them. He asked if I was saying metric was better because it used smaller numbers. I said neither system is better. They're just different. He said America used pounds because they made more sense. Why would you need a measurement so big that one of them equals 2 pounds? That's inefficient. He left without buying anything and told another customer our scales were rigged. The absolute best one happened 2 months ago at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. I work at passport control, and an American man in his 50s approached my booth. He handed me his passport with a €20 note tucked inside. I handed the money back and told him we don't accept tips at passport control. He pushed it back toward me and winked. Come on, just between us. I'm in a hurry. I explained again that I'm a government immigration officer, and this could be considered attempted bribery. He looked confused. Bribery? I'm just being polite. In America, we tip for good service. I told him this wasn't a service industry position. This was border control. He said he tipped TSA agents in America all the time. I informed him that was almost certainly illegal, and they definitely weren't accepting his money. He insisted they did. They always smile when I do it. That means they appreciate it. I asked him to step aside so I could process other passengers. He refused to move until I accepted his tip. I've been traveling for 15 hours. The least you could do is accept a simple gesture of appreciation. I called my supervisor. The American seemed pleased. Good. Someone who understands customer service. My supervisor arrived and asked what the problem was. The American explained he was trying to ensure quality service, but I was being difficult. My supervisor asked if he'd attempted to give me money. The American said yes, as a tip. Like civilized people do, my supervisor explained in very clear English that attempting to pay immigration officers is illegal in France and most countries. The American said that seemed like a dictatorship policy. My supervisor asked if he was calling France a dictatorship. The American backtracked and said he just meant it was un-American. We processed his passport and let him through with a warning. As he walked away, he turned back and said, "You know, in America, government workers are grateful when citizens show appreciation." My supervisor is French. She's never been grateful in her life. The thing is, it happens every day. Different airports, different mistakes, same absolute confidence. And somewhere right now, another American is explaining to a confused German that actually Berlin should consider bringing back the wall because it was better for tourism. This channel doesn't chase outrage. It documents behavior. The people who subscribe here aren't collecting anecdotes. They're collecting understanding. If that's how you process the world, you're already one of us.